So, what leads someone into different ministries? I've been thinking about that, and three things come to mind. The first is, of course, the gift of the Holy Spirit that impels us to do and to be. The second thing is our own interests and our own ability to continue on the journey of service. And the third thing is discernment and discussion with friends, with community members, and most particularly with one's, as we say, provincial leader. In looking about my own journey in ministry, I think the charism of the servants of the Holy Heart of Mary being available to whatever is needed was certainly a theme in my own life of ministry. I remember being an 8-year-old girl hearing the story of a woman down the street, a Methodist minister who ran her own church. I remember thinking, oh wow, I'd like to do that someday. Now, an 8-year-old girl in the 1950s wasn't expected to run a parish or a church. And I certainly was totally Catholic, so I wasn't going to change my religion. But that thought stayed with me for many years, and about 50 years later, I was running a church, and I did so for 14 years. So I believe the Spirit puts inclinations into our spirit that can come true at a later date. Another example, oh, I'd really like to go to Africa, but they all speak French and I don't know French. Years later, the Superior General sends me to Africa to teach English as a second language. So those little thoughts that stay with us for a long time often come true. And I think it's the spark of the Spirit that does that. Another central focus is it often seems that something that was in the periphery of my life comes to the center of my life and becomes my ministry. So there are inklings, there are projects, there are desires and passions that are at the edges of one's life. And little by little by little, it comes to fruition in a very different way. The kingdom is always at work. To serve means to serve the work of God in the community. We don't serve God. It's a pretty lofty thing to aspire to. We don't serve people because people are always going to disappoint each other. What we strive to do is serve the work of God in people and in communities of people. My ministry has really evolved over the years. It was either I was in great demand or no one wanted me. I was a teacher for a number of years, basically 4th through 8th grade. I think it was about 13 or 14 years. Then I became a campus minister at a community college and a religious college that only let people of the Catholic faith talk to me. Other people were forbidden to even approach me. That was an interesting endeavor. I remember one young woman who came to me frightened as all get out because she wasn't Catholic, but she needed to talk to me. She had fallen in love with a Catholic boy, and they didn't know what to do about it. They wanted to get married. And she was so afraid that she was marrying someone who was part of a cult It was sort of like Nicodemus coming to Jesus in the cover of night. Not that I'm a Jesus figure, but I felt the same way. I can't talk about this, and nobody should know I'm here. So at every time I changed ministries, I learned more. I learned more and was able to take that learning to the next ministry to which I was called. My best ministries, at least to my notice, are working in parishes. That's where my vocation sparked, and that's where I think I do my best work. I have also been a vice president of a Catholic health system, and again learned many things, both positive and in negative experiences, that helped me in my other ministries that followed. Finally, I have been called by the Spirit and by my sisters to lead them. I said a little bit beforehand that I love working in parishes. Well, my parish now is all my sisters and all our co-ministers, and I love working with them to an extent that I never expected to be this humbled and joyful in a new ministry. So basically, three things. It's something you think you would like to do, and if it's something you're wondering about, I would suggest you take the leap. All they can do is fire you. And thirdly, it's something that you discern with your friends, your sisters, and of course your province leader. Guess that's it.